for the drums.
Hey, Robert.
Hey, Keith.
How's it going?
Oh, pretty good. Everyday sort of things.
What have you got today?
We're going to talk about doors and how thinking carefully about the small things on that actually translates to how we design dashboards.
Okay.
So, this all started for me when I read this book. It was called The Design of Everyday Things by Don Norman. And he really talks in great detail about things that we use all the time, but don't think about. Because we don't have to think about it. We know how to use it, and it's simple. But when it's not simple, we get frustrated. We might even feel like we're not that smart. And I love this quote from the description of the book that even the smartest among us can feel inept as we fail to figure out which light switch or oven burner to turn on, or whether to push, pull, or slide a door. So I'm going to talk about some examples, but don't we feel that way sometimes, Keith, when we can't figure out how to use a dashboard or how to read a chart?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, never mind the complexity of a dashboard, but simple stuff. I love your little logo here is a light switch, right? Like just the simple things in life can make you feel stupid if they don't work right. Like using the stove. Um, but then something complex like a dashboard. I see where you're going.
And when it happens every day, that frustration can really build.
Mm.
So let's talk about doors for a minute.
Okay.
This is a great example from the book. I love it so much. So I'm going to show you two doors, Keith, and we're
Okay.
going to see how smart you are. Which one of these, as you're walking up to the left door, would you push or pull that one?
I would pull that door. Yeah.
Okay. Seems normal, natural. What about the one on the right? Would you push or pull that one?
I would probably push it because there's not a handle with which to pull.
Yeah, okay. What if I told you that both of these doors open by pushing? And if you had walked up to the door on the left and tried to pull it, it wouldn't open for you.
It wouldn't work.
Would that be a
Yeah.
little frustrating?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the question. How would you solve that problem, Keith?
Um, I would make the one on the left more like the one on the right.
Okay. I think that's a good answer. I think another common answer is we would solve this problem by educating the user. We would tell them how to use it. And how do we tell them how to use it?
Oh, you mean write them a manual, like give them instructions.
Well, that, or we just label it, right? We put a little sign right above that handle that says push.
Yeah.
Now, let's say you had walked up to that door. I think many people have done this. I do this all the time. I walk up to that door on the left. I pull it because that feels like the natural thing to do. It doesn't open. And then I look and I'm like, dummy, it was labeled. Why can't I read
Oh,
the
right, but
label?
now it's my fault because I didn't
Now it's
read.
my fault because I didn't read the instructions on
Right.
user error.
Right, right, right.
Right? They even told me how to use it.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I eventually I'll get to sharing some content with you about. It's about keeping the user in their flow and cognitive dissonance, right? Like I know a while ago, Andy Cockreeve had done stuff with eye tracking and where do people's eyes go, on the dashboards. Um, but if you make me switch context and read, that's actually taking me to a completely different part of my brain that requires cognition.
Right.
And if everything we're doing is about going around cognition because the cognitive system is slow and error prone, don't make me read the instructions.
Yeah, and that's just the thing. It is that it makes us have to think about it. And when we're walking through a door, especially if we're in a hurry, we don't want to have to stop and think about how do I use this door because it should be the simplest thing ever.
Right.
And when that labeling, when that one side of our brain, our cognition, our verbal processing, whatever you want to call it, conflicts with just what somehow feels natural for
Mm-hmm.
various reasons, familiarity, all sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Man, we get frustrated, we get confused, we might feel like idiots, all these sorts of things, right?
Right.
And I love this cartoon. One of our colleagues, Christine, shared this with me, and it's so perfect for this metaphor. Like school for the gifted, and the guy's just pushing on a door. This, um, but then that begs the question: what is the answer? If people are frustrated using our dashboards, is the answer to make our users smarter by educating them more, better documentation, more training? Those things are helpful. But what if we can just make the design better? What if we think more about the everyday stuff, as simple as a door handle, but translate that into dashboards? What if we spent more time thinking about the design of those tiny little things, so that we can spend less time with user frustration, answering questions? What am I supposed to do here?
Yeah, and I love it that you're starting off a whole series to talk about this because it's those little things. It's the cumulative burden of those little frictions that all add up to be actually quite a bit. And when you look at how do teams win the Formula One, or how do cyclists win the Tour de France, they do it by removing all of the little tiny frictions, all of the army of little things that get in the way, and it's those kind of efficiencies that culminate to get them the leading edge. And
Yeah.
in a complex, sophisticated thing like a data dashboard that's going to an executive that's showing them how massive volumes of detail is flowing through their business, the accumulation of all of those little frictions could lead to a massive sense of overwhelm. And it's that overwhelm that masks the true value that we really are trying to relay.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I've got another quiz coming up for you. Are you ready,
Okay.
Keith?
Yeah, sure.
See how good you are at using dashboards? Because now we're going to talk about how this works with dashboards, not
Okay.
doors.
Let's see.
Okay, so we're going to have two charts here. And I'm going to start with just this one that's a generic bar chart, something that just comes out of Superstore data in Tableau. And this is a chart that could be built in any tool. Let me ask you, Keith, does any part of that chart look like something that you would want to click on and interact with?
No, it doesn't communicate to me that I'm able to interact with it. No. I might
Okay.
try because I kind of know that maybe it does, but there's nothing
Yeah.
intrinsically that says I'm a knob, or I'm a button, or I'm interactable.
Yeah. And I would say that you probably know that because you spend a lot of time working with interactive dashboards.
Yeah.
But what if you're somebody who has spent most of their time, maybe all of their time, up to a certain point in their career, just looking at PowerPoint slides or
Right.
Excel spreadsheets?
Right.
There would be no expectation that a chart like this would have any sort of interactivity, right? So, what's a way that we could solve that? What did we do with the door? We educate our users. Click to filter, right? This could be one chart on several different.
Oh, I hadn't even. Oh, look, it is labeled. I didn't even see that label there.
I just brought it up so that
Okay, got it.
because we found, just think about the hypothetical, right? We made this chart and people didn't realize, hey, this chart, you can actually click on it to filter another part of a dashboard.
Right.
So, hey, we're getting all these trouble tickets, or people are complaining, or, they're just not using it the way that we thought that they would. So we added some instructions. We added a little label. Hey, if we just,
Yeah, but that's a whole, I mean, that's four whole syllables. Like if we're talking about being efficient, that's four whole syllables that I got to switch over to my language brain, run click to filter through that language brain, process it, then switch context and come back to the chart and apply the instructions to the non-cognitive flow that I
yeah.
used to be in. That's a lot of work.
All right. Well, before I show you the answer that I came up with, is there
Okay.
anything that you would think of right offhand to change the design? Not just add a label, but change the design of the chart itself to make it more clear to somebody that this is clickable, and when you click it, it's going to do something.
Can I tell you what I've done in the past that hasn't worked very well, but it's been my best
Mm-hmm.
effort? Is I've put a little picture of a mouse cursor
Mm.
kind of just above the bar with a little arrow over it.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Sure.
I've tried to stay in the visual processing unit of the audience
Uh-huh.
brain and just visually indicate to them without words. But that only goes
Mm-hmm.
so well when I do that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's a solution that has worked pretty well for me, and that I've got a lot of positive response from. So this chart on the right now, what does
Mm,
this look like to you?
that's the ticket. It looks like a web page. All
It
right.
looks like a web page, right?
Right.
Now, if we were having this conversation um, when I was basically a teenager, nobody would know what that is. Like, it's just
Right.
blue underlined text. Blue
Mm,
underlined text didn't have any meaning to us until the internet had everybody using hyperlinks. But now everybody knows when I
mm-hmm.
see blue text with an underline, I
Mm-hmm.
can click on that and it's going to go somewhere. It's going to do something. It's the most familiar thing
Mm-hmm.
to us now, day in and day out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an everyday thing, adding something that's familiar. It's a design principle called affordance. It
Okay.
just, because it's so natural to us now, from doing this over and over with site after site and tool after tool, it's just immediate.
Right. Right. And so that's the reason why the stop sign is an octagon, because there's not many other signs that have that shape, and now
Yeah.
everybody knows that a red octagon means stop.
Yeah.
And so this is okay. I got it. I got what you're doing here with this
That's right.
affordance thing. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's just one design principle. We've got a few more to talk about, and this is going to be a whole series of things. This is just one example for today.
Okay.
In the next episode, we're going to talk about sorting and how that feeds into this design of everyday things, and just how simple things about the way that we go about sorting charts really matters in their usability and interpretability. So we'll talk about that next time. I've got more examples where this came from. There are so many things that we use every day. And I'm looking forward, Keith, to our next few conversations about this.
Okay. Me too. I can't wait to accompany you on this journey. Yeah. Thanks for taking us through. See you soon.
All right.
Wait for the drums.